So welcome participants. Good afternoon everyone. This is Manoj, Assistant Professor from the Department of EEE. Today I am extremely happy to welcome and introduce Dr. Kajalashmi Madam for this ATAL sponsored workshop. Dr. Kajalashmi Madam is currently working as a Professor and Head of EC Department of Kalan College of Engineering. Madam has received her UG degree from Madras University, PG degree from Madurai Kamaraj University and PhD from Anna University. Madam is actually involved in various academic activities and administrative activities to elevate the Department of ECE. She has published 11 research papers in reputed journals and 20 papers in national and international conferences. She has guided a handful of PhD scholars. She received 8 lakhs rupees fund from the AICTE and received R&D fund from QCARD. She conducted many sponsored workshops and FDPs. She has been awarded as an outstanding reviewer by International Journal of Electronics and Communications. She delivered lectures in various workshops and FDPs under her watch. Her research areas includes digital signal processing and machine learning. With these few words, I once again welcome Dr. Kajalashmi Madam for this wonderful FDP. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you, Madam.
I joined with Manoj to wish you all the participants good afternoon, one and all. I hope I am audible.
Yes, Madam.
Manoj, am I audible? Yes.
Yes,
okay.
Madam, it's audible.
Actually, when I was given this task of taking the machine learning lecture on this session, I bit hesitated because actually I am doing machine learning projects for UG and PG for a couple of years only. So, but I am interested to learn further because basically my area of interest is, as Manoj said, wireless signal processing. So in wireless signal processing, we have handled several algorithms. So since machine learning algorithms are a bit relevant to these signal processing algorithms, I'm interested to explore machine learning. So I learned machine learning as well as since things like when MATLAB is a bit expensive, I want to convert my DSP lab into Python. Instead of MATLAB programming, because for the more than 2 decades we have been practiced with MATLAB programming. So during this lockdown period, I try to write code in Python for all the signal processing experiments, and I completed. So I think I know I can satisfy you people because I am not very much knowing about your area of power system or smart grid, etc. So I take a bit simple example in logistic regression, and I explain those things in theory as well as in the Python code. Now I share my PPT. So I think in the second day you might have learned about what is logistic regression, linear regression, what are all the machine learning algorithms are available. So in this class, we can have some quick review of logistic regression. Logistic regression is used when the dependent variable is categorical. Actually, though the name is given as regression, but it is used for classification purpose. You know very well that a machine learning algorithm is involved in 2 processes like regression as well as classification. But though the name is involved in the logistic regression, but it is used for classification purposes. So it is used when the dependent variable, that is output or target, is categorical, right? Whether it is this one or that one. For categorization, we are using this logistic regression. So these are all some of these simple examples for logistic regression to predict whether the email is spam or not. So actually these are all the things that is example. This is the example which will be used by all the beginners. Then another example is tumor is malignant or not, and another example, a plant belongs to a certain species or not. So if I am relating with our engineering, whether the particular operating conditions, if the particular operating conditions are given, but we can predict whether the machine will be working or not. So types of logistic regression: binary logistic regression, multinomial logistic regression, ordinal logistic regression. Binary logistic regression, as this name represents, it has only two possible outcomes, whether yes or no, or spam or not, like 1 or 0, right? So multinomial logistic regression, this is also a categorization, but with two, three or more variables, dependent variables. So there are some examples of this one. Ordinal logistic regression is similar to your multinomial logistic regression, but the variables are in the, that is the, it is in the order of rating. That is, we are categorized in the order, like rubric 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So these are all the things, but as a beginner, I think it is better I could take one example in the binary logistic regression. So while executing, while learning a model for a binary logistic regression, we should have the following assumptions. So the target or output variables must be binary, right? So if suppose if it is not in binary, means since it is a binary logistic regression, the output may be either this or that. So I can assign it as a 0 or 1. So there should not be any correlation between the independent variables. Must, that is, sorry, there should be some typo. Actually, there might be several independent variables in the problem, right? Suppose if a guy wants, whether we have to predict whether a particular boy enjoys the sport on particular day, right? If I take this example, I have to say whether he will enjoy the sports today or not. So I have to say yes or no, right? So for that, I could have some training examples in my hand. Those training examples, like last Tuesday he went for sports. Monday he didn't go for sport, but Wednesday he went to Thursday went, like that. I have set of examples. So if I have some set of examples, I have to find out what are all the variables, what are all the features, right? Which is relevant to my target. My target is whether the guy wants to go to sport or not. So what are all the features which are relevant for these things? So I can say what is the weather, and whether first point I can say that whether then what about the nature of the one, then whether he is having holiday on that day, whether he is free on that day, though it is holiday, whether he is free or any other work is. So there are several features we have to identify. So you should, we are having lot of data, but we have to segregate what are all the features which will be useful for to obtain a particular target. So to build a learning model, we should be very clear with this one. So I am saying these features are called as independent variables. So these independent variables are not correlated with one another. Suppose if the holiday, if he is having holiday, is if I take holiday is one of the features, means, and the weather in the day, weather of the day is another feature. So both are not dependent. Both should not be dependent. So this is what I'm trying to say in the second point. There should not be any correlation between the independent variables. That is, that independent variables must be independent of each other. So include meaningful variables in our model. I used to say in my class, right? Actually, suppose I'll take the same example of the particular guy wants to enjoy the sport that day or not. I have several data in my hand, like for 10 days of record I am having. So from the 10 days of record, I have to extract the features which are relevant to my target. So suppose suppose if you are taking the target of, right, sorry, if you're taking the feature like he wore yellow shirt on that day. On Tuesday he wore yellow shirt. Monday he wore red shirt. So this feature will not be very much useful for our target. So we have to consider the meaningful variables. Then also we should have a large number of samples. So I think on the Tuesday class, you might have learned about what is logistic regression and how it is represented. But I'll have a quick review of this one. So input values X are combined with linearly using weights to predict an output value Y, right? So I'll explain this one in the with the example, right? So here I have only one independent variable x. So my target y is, I am taking the same example, the guy wants to enjoy the sport, that then this independent variable I am considering only the weather, right? Because it affects, right? Because we don't allow our children to play outside, suppose if the weather is bad, right? So it is an important feature what I believe, right? So x is the independent variable, I am having only one independent variable. So this theta naught and theta 1 are the weights. We are saying this one are the weights, and what that is the how much weight is to be given to the value x, and theta naught is called as the bias, because that is, forget about this e power in this equation, right? If we are having theta naught plus theta 1 into x, y is equal to theta naught plus theta 1 into x, means what does it mean? You might have studied in the past 4 days, right? If you have y is equal to theta naught plus theta 1 into x, what does it mean? That's why I asked you to install Academy app. Only 2 participants have installed, but you can respond in chat box also. Suppose that is, I have an equation y is equal to theta naught plus theta 1 x. Can anybody say what does it? What do you infer from this equation? Okay, let me tell. Actually, this is the linear regression. If I am having y is equal to theta naught plus theta 1 into x, we might have studied in our first year undergraduate statistics. I studied in my when I was doing my UG regression, linear regression. I have studied, but that time we didn't understand what is the inference of this equation, but just mug up the formula and we have solved the problem, right? But the thing is, y is equal to theta naught plus theta 1 x is our line equation. So y is equal to mx plus c, like that. So this theta naught is nothing but line equations c, and theta 1 is nothing but our slope m, right? So depending upon the slope m, our line will be having the slope of high or low slope, right? Horizontal or vertical or intermediate with this, what is the angle between this? So this theta 1 plays an important role in fixing the line position, right? So but we are not concentrating on linear regression, because linear regression is having its own disadvantages. So I'm not this is not our scope. So theta naught plus theta 1 into x is our linear regression, right? This is just nothing but our line equation, y is equal to mx plus c. So this y is equal to e power theta naught plus theta 1 into x divided by 1 plus e power theta naught plus theta 1 into x is the logistic representation. Because you that day Mr. Karthik Sundar might have told about the probability and how you are representing this logistic repression. But anyhow, I'll say wherever you need some theory explanation, I'll explain you. So here y is my predicted output. This predicted output is nothing but my whether the guy wants to play that day or not, right? So I'm going to predict whether he will play today or not. So theta naught is the bias or intercept. Y is equal to mx plus c. This c order, so this is c, right? Theta naught. So theta 1 is the coefficient or weight of the single input variable x. See, here I took only the single input variable. So each column in your input data has an associated theta coefficient or a constant value that must be learned from your training data. So I have some set of training data in my hand for the past 1 week of data, whether that guy went to play or not, right? So with that data, I have to segregate my set of data into training data and test data. So for training data, normally 80 to 20% usually people will take. So 80% of the set will be considered as a training data, and 20% will be considered for test data. So this 80% training data, we will that is using this training data, I am going to find out the values of this theta naught and theta 1 which best fits my problem, right? So the ultimate aim of studying any machine learning algorithm is to finding out some weight vector. So this is your mantra, right? Studying the learning model or studying the solving machine learning problem means we are going to find out my weight vector which will fit our problem, So theta, I am going to find out theta naught and theta 1. So you should keep in this mind that we should have some Some problem in my mobile. Anyhow, I'll tell our ultimate aim of finding the solving the machine learning problem means I'm going to find the weight vector. So here, since I have taken only one independent variable, only one feature, it will be easy for us to solve manually itself, right? Sometimes we have to depend on lot of features. So, and lot of test data we will be in hand, because if we have more number of test data, we will have good prediction, right? So for those cases, we have to depend on the machine learning algorithms. So here I have taken, is it okay, Ganesh Kumari?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yes. So this is the representation of logistic regression plot. It is a S-curve plot. Suppose if you have handled signals in system, you might have come across several signals. This is nothing but the sigmoid function. This is called as sigmoid function, and which is expressed in terms of 1 by 1 plus e power minus the particular value, right? So this is the logistic regression representation. So if you think of logistic function, you should keep in mind that it is a sigmoid function. So we know that our output depends upon the logistic function. That is, the input is coming. I am having some set of input variables, right? So the input variables are multiplied with weight vector. After having this accumulation of weight vector, I am applying this thing to logistic function, which is called a sigmoid function. Then the output of my sigmoid function is some values, right? Now I have to find out my weight vector value W0 and W1. Usually we assume this W0, W1, etc. as zero values. So multiplying it this one 0, then we have only bias component and adding those things in. Then we have to apply it in our logistic function or sigmoid function, and we will have some set of output at this position. I am assuming this output position as y cap, right? Then I am comparing this y cap with my actual value, which is available in as our training output, right? So if I am comparing these things, I will have some error, y cap minus y, I will surely get error. This error should be minimized. This error should be minimized. Then only the weight vector what I will assign is very good, right? So so we have to fix some cost function. That is this error function, which should be minimized. So this is my cost function. So those who are working in optimization problems, you know very well about the importance of cost function. Here for this logistic regression, the cost function is, right, this h theta naught of x is my predicted output. Assume that this is my y cap, right? So I have taken this derivation and these things from medium.com, right? So h theta naught of x is our output variable y, predicted variable y cap. Then this is my actual values which is available with me. So if I am assuming the output is y, if I am deciding in favor of y is equal to 1 means, right, the cost function is minus log of h theta of x. Why? Because y cap is equal to, suppose if you fit y cap is equal to 1, what happened? Log 1 is 0, right? Log 1 is 0. Log 1 is 0 means the error is 0. Cost function is 0. So y is fit for this function. Suppose if you want to decide in favor of y is equal to 0, right? Y is equal to 0. If you want to decide in favor of y is equal to 0, then the cost function should have the value of minus log of 1 minus h theta of x. So for binary logistic regression, the cost function will have the value minus log h theta of x if y is equal to 1. If I want to decide in favor of y is equal to 0, my cost function is minus log of 1 minus h theta of x. So I am saying in terms of the equations, like h theta of x is equal to, it is nothing but it is your y cap, right? Suppose y cap is equal to 1 means log 1 is 0. So this one is, suppose here y cap is equal to 1. So the same y cap is equal to 1. What happens? 1 minus 1 is 0. Log 0 is infinity. So error is infinity. So I am going in the wrong direction. We can say that. So y is equal to 0 means here I put 0. Again 1 minus 0, 1. Log 1 is 0. So the error is 0. So I can say that I am in the correct way, right? So this is the cost function which we are fixing for logistic regression. So I am combining this cost function in the next slide. So cos function is equal to minus y log of h of theta, log of h theta of x minus, this is for y is equal to 1. The first term is for y is equal to 1 and the second term is for y is equal to 0. So this is the cos function we have identified. Then next step is to, I have to find out what is my theta value. Theta naught and theta 1 I have to find out. So I should depend on some other, any other optimization algorithm. So normally we go for gradient descent algorithm. Gradient descent algorithm. Gradient descent is nothing but, as its name implies, in our school days, we could have studied minima and maxima in the differential equations, right? So we have to take differentiation, and if we have to make it equal to 0, and we find the independent variable value, and if you substitute this independent variable value in the second order differentiation, and if we get positive value, we can say that the function is minimum function. Negative means maximum function, positive means minimum function. So the same way we are going to find out the minimum value here. So instead of we are dealing with a single variable, here we will have some vector of values, because x is a vector, because if it is a single variable means it is a scalar. If I have more number of features, means it should be a vector. So that's why the word gradient is here. Gradient descent is a first order iterative optimization algorithm for finding a local minimum of a differentiable function. To find a local minimum of a function using a gradient descent algorithm, gradient descent in the means we have to decrease. Like you just imagine a Q curve, because it is not in my scope, but I have to tell what is gradient descent algorithm, which will be useful for you in deriving the expression, right? So you just imagine a U-shaped curve, right? So I'm taking one differentiation at one particular point, right? Because I'm assuming my theta value at anywhere, right? So I'll get my d del of theta by d theta is some value in the position. So it will be decreasing in the manner. So I have to decrease it to get the minimum value. I have to attain at the minimum position of my U curve, right? So that is why the word gradient descent, it has to be decreased. My error should be decreased. My differentiate error should be decreased. So here I am going, I'll quickly complete this derivation. So I have to, my objective is to reduce this, that is by finding my theta values by reducing this cost function, by reducing the error, right? So for that, here I have derived what is the derivation of sigmoid function, which will be, because this is common, right? Because it is, what to say, this output is used in several neural network problems. Suppose if you want to handle neural network classes, or if you are doing research in neural network, deep learning network, so this derivation will be very much useful. So h theta of x is my y cap, that is expected output. This is nothing but 1 by 1 plus e power minus theta transpose of x. This theta transpose of x is nothing but the equation which I have written earlier, like theta naught plus theta 1 into x, right? So this is the exponential power of linear regression equation. This is nothing but linear regression equation. But since it is mentioned in the board letter, we should assume that this is in vector form, right? So this is nothing but this is our normal u by v method differentiation. Then at the end of the differentiation, we will get sigma of x into 1 minus sigma of x, where my sigma of x is nothing but 1 by 1 plus e power minus theta t of x. We should not forget this differentiation, because you can blindly say, like those who are familiar with the Fourier transform, we can say that what is the Fourier transform of rectangular waveform? We can say that sinc function, right? Without doing any derivation, we can blindly say it is a sinc function. Similarly, I can say that for sigmoid function, the differentiation is sigma of x into 1 minus sigma of x. Then the next thing I have to differentiation by cost function dou j theta divided by dou theta j. I am finding it for a particular value, right? Theta j is a particular node part. That is, I am viewing for a particular node or particular output value, right? There might be several output vector, but here I am saying for theta 1, right? For favoring of 1 minus 1 by m summation I is equal to 1 to m y I of into 1 by h. So actually this is nothing but in your previous slide, minus y into log of h theta of x minus 1 minus y log of 1 minus h theta of x. So minus y into log of h theta of x is nothing but log of sigma of x into 1 minus log of 1 minus 1 by h theta of x. I have differentiated log of h theta of x 1 by h theta of x into dou h theta of x divided by dou theta j, because I just differentiated the logarithmic function of h theta of previous thing. Minus y into 1 by h theta of x into dou h theta of x by dou theta j. Okay. Similarly, for second term, since the second term in the second term is minus of minus plus here, then I am doing the same differentiation. So summation y into I 1 by h theta y, first term we are seeing now first term 1 by h theta of into, this is nothing but our previous derivation, that is dou h theta of x divided by dou theta j. So nothing but sigma of x into 1 minus sigma of x. That's what here I put here. So dou theta transpose of x by dou theta partial differential equation, because it depends on theta j. Then again 1 minus yj second term 1 minus h theta of xi into, I am again differentiating this thing by assuming that this is my dou h theta of x. Then again minus sigma of sz into minus 1 minus sigma of z into dou theta transpose of x by dou theta of az. So yeah, those who are good in mathematics, you can easily follow it, but otherwise you can derive it by yourself. Instead of doing h theta of x, you can put it as y cap. If you put it as y cap and if you view it as a vector or matrix, then it will be easy for you to do. Since matrix differentiation is a bit difficult while manipulating, so I have taken here, we have taken individual variable. So what is this? I is equal to 1 is to m. Here I am assuming that I have m examples in my hand. I am assuming that I have m examples in my hand. So this is another thing, the same derivation with simple modification. Then I am adding those things by combining the relevant things, and finally I will get this one minus 1 by m into summation I is equal to 1 to m yi minus h theta of xi into xj. So you can manually do it because I have solved it, right? So if you arrive these things, this is the differentiation function. I will just differentiate my cost function with respect to my vector, weight vector theta j. Then if I am applying my, that is after removing my summation, then I'll obtain my vector form. So this is the final equation. So those who are not good in mathematics, you can forget about the previous 3 slides and you can hold this slide, right? This equation. So at the end of the derivation, we will get my differentiation of my cost function with respect to theta is nothing but 1 by m into x transpose. X transpose is nothing but my input, right? Input values. Suppose if you have m example, what is it? M examples means it is nothing but your m column vector and h theta of x minus y. H theta of x is my y cap minus y. So you can view this one as y cap of y minus y is nothing but your error function, which is multiplied with your input, and it is normalized by these values, number of samples m, number of examples m. So at the end of the steepest descent algorithm, what actually you will get means the difference between the predicted value and actual value, which is multiplied with my all input examples and normalize it by dividing it by m, right? So this is my gradient value. This is my gradient value. So the what next? What should we do to get my theta? Our ultimate aim is to, I have to get the value of theta. What should I do? I have to repeat the convergence, right? I have to pick some error. I want a minimum error of 10 power minus 4 or 10 power minus 3. I will show while doing demonstration. So 10 power minus 3 or 10 power minus 4. So till my error reaches 10 power minus 3, I should do this thing. So first initially I am assuming my theta is some value, then I will arrive this equation, then multiplying this equation with the learning rate alpha, right? Then subtract this one with my initial weight value which I have assumed, right? First of all, suppose I am assuming my theta values are 0.5, all 0.5. then I apply those things in my equation h theta of x, then I will get some value here, y cap minus y, then multiplying with my examples and divided by m, then I'll get this second term, dou by dou theta j of j theta I'll get, and I'm multiplying this one with the alpha, then I am subtracting this one with subtracting addition I can do, right? But since it is a descent, it is minus, right? So theta j is my initial value, which I have assumed as 0.5. Now I am reducing this one, then I'll get this one updated weight vector, then applying this weight vector value, updated new weight vector value to make h theta of x equation, then again you do this one, then multiply it with my learning factor, then subtract this one with my previous value, then again I'll get my new value, then substitute this one. So I have to run this part till I get the minimum error. I can fix my minimum error as 10 power minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, whatever precision you want, you can fix it, right? So we here the unknown guy who is alpha. Alpha is nothing but it is a learning rate. Normally in Prokey's book, he used the symbol mu, right? But some people use beta or some people use alpha or learning rate, right? Normally it lies between 0 and 1. There is some different algorithm to study this, to find this learning rate value, but it is not in our scope. So we can fix any value for learning rate. The one thing you have to keep in mind is, suppose if I fix my learning rate as a high value in order to converge my work very easily, what happened? It will converge very quickly, but I could not get the particular minimum value. But if you fix it very low, means it takes a slow convergence. So that's all about our logistic regression learning methodology. This is the learning methodology. Learning methodology is nothing but I'm going to find out the weight vector value. To find out the weight vector value, first I am assuming what is my initial value, theta, then substitute this initial theta value into my logistic regression model, that equation. Then I'll get some output. I am subtracting this output with my original output and multiply it with my input value and divide it by m. Then I will get my gradient value and multiply my gradient value with my learning factor, which I have assumed. Then I am subtracting my initial weight vector with this one. Then I'll get new weight vector. Then again the new weight vector value will be substituted in the h theta of x formula. Then again I have to do till I get my minimum error. Okay. So this is our learning methodology in logistic regression. So here in our problem, I have two performance metrics, F1 score and confusion matrix. F1 score is obtained by 2 into precision into recall divided by precision plus recall. What is precision? Precision is calculated by true positives divided by true positives plus false positives. True positives means the thing actual output is positive, and I am finding it as a positive. My predicted value is also positive, means it is true positive. False positive means actual value is negative, but I am finding this one. I am predicting this one as a positive, means it is called as false positives, and vice versa for negatives, right? So using this formula, you can find out what is F1 score. Similarly, confusion matrix is the column which is a performance matrix for how much prediction you have got. So this is the performance measure. It is one of the performance measure for the machine learning algorithm. Now let us go to our coding part. If you have any doubts in this derivation or concept, please don't hesitate to ask. If you don't have any doubts, let us go to the coding part. Please say yes or no or something. Can you go to coding part, or you have any doubts in this one? Because if you understand this one, then it will be easy for you to track my code, right? First, let me show the problem which I have taken here.
Ma'am, most of the participants said yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, I noted, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
So this is the problem I have taken for you, because it should be relevant to our core area, right? So that's why I have taken this one. It is a power reactor data. So the ultimate problem is to I have to identify whether for a particular condition the power reactor working condition of the power reactor is normal or not, right? Are you able to see my Excel sheet?
Yes, ma'am.
Ganesh Kumari.
Yes, ma'am. Possible. Okay.
So there are three, four. Let me check. I forgot. So power range sensor, pressure sensor, and vibration sensor. So we have yeah, each four. I have four sensors, right? In power range, and for four sensors for pressure and four sensors for vibration. I have some data. I think I have 500 and something data. I think. Which have been taken in the Kaggle site. You can take any data set, right? So this is the data which I have taken. My question is, I have to now our problem is I have to say whether for a particular operating for a particular sensor reading whether my power reactor will work as in normal condition or abnormal condition. Since this status is my target, we have used several terminologies, right? Output variable or target is the status column, and these are all the D to M. I think these columns are our variables or features, right? Power range sensor 1, power range sensor 2, 3, 4. So these are all the features. So these data are available in my hand. So 500 and something data is in my hand. So with this data, I have to design one model, right? Learning model, learning system, and I have to predict for a particular input of this sensor reading, right? Using this sensor reading, I have to say whether this power reactor will operate in a normal condition or in a abnormal condition. Hope you understand what I am trying to share, right? So now I'll go to the main code. Are you able to see my code now?
Yes, ma'am. See your codes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So because there might be some starter of Python might be here. Can you please mute your mic? Since I have written this code by assuming that most of the what to say participants might be they are in the initial stage of learning Python, right? So those who are very good in Python, please forgive me, because I'll explain each and every step individually by assuming that most of the participants are in the starting level, right? In the first step of the Python learning. So Pandas is one library, right? It is a manipulation tool actually, right? It is its key data structure is called as the data frame, right? So normally, it allows us to store, manipulate tabular data in rows of observation and columns of variables. So that is why Pandas. So like in C, we used to include yes, hash stdio like that. We can include, right? Here instead of include, we can put import Pandas as PD, because I am going to call, I'm going to retrieve this Pandas library in names of PD. Similarly, NumPython, numerical Python. In numerical Python, it is also a library, so which is very, very useful in linear algebra, Fourier transform, matrices, and arrays. So for DSP like problems, I use this NumPython, NumPy library. Then sklearn.model underscore selection. This is the library which contains lot of machine learning algorithm, including our logistic regression algorithm. This from logis underscore import star. This is the user defined library. That is, this library is created by us, right? So we have written this one because for a starter, I think I in my lab also I don't our students to use the MATLAB inbuilt function. So even for doing convolution, I ask them to execute the full equation, right? And write the convolution equation and execute it and write with the help of for loop you have to do. So this is the way we have to practice. Then only our coding practice will be improved for teachers. Though we don't need any coding practice, but it is very much useful to learn Python if we write a single by single, single line by single line. So here I am going to retrieve my data which is available in the Excel file pressurized underscore water reactor. Normally it is stored in the Kaggle. The data are stored in the .csv file. So we can read it in like pd.read underscore csv. If you use like this, then we can retrieve this in the data frame data. So this data is, there are several data types in pandas. So while retrieving these things in the Excel file, it is in the data frame, right? So the first column denotes the status, our output values. In some of the data that is in the some of the data sets, the output variables are available in the different file and input variables are available in the different file. So you have to read it. Output file, you can read it from the that is for output data frame, you can read it from the output file. For input data frame, you can read it from the input data file. But in this data set, we have our input and output in the same file. So I have to extract my output separately. So I'm converting this data frame data into X by dropping out my status. So here I explain what is dropping means. Status column in data frame and converting data frame into numpy arrays, because here I put dot values. So dot values means after dropping the status column, here I am converting my data frame into an array, right? So if an array means, it will be easy for us to execute in the Python. So data of status is equal to data of status into as type of category. Here the first column is data in data frame. The first column data is status. I am converting this first column the data as a category type, right? The variable, that is the variable available in the abnormal or normal. So we should, that is I am instructing that this variable will be considered as a category variable. And then the next step, after this category, I am assigning this one as the category variable. Again, I want to mention it as some values, right? So assigning values for this one, 0 and 1 values will be assigned here. I will execute it. If time permits, I will execute each and every step to you using Jupyter, right? So this is the pre-processing work. These are all the pre-processing work. This is the raw data, and I am reading it in my data frame. Again, the first column is separated, and I will have only the output variable in my X. Then in the first column, as it is in the data frame, the first column I am categorized, and then I am assigning the category into some values. That's all. Then normalization for each and every column. The normalization is very much necessary, because if some the first column may be in the range of some 1,000 to 10,000 or 12,000. Then second column value might be some 0.1, 0.2, like that. So if at all, if we are manipulating with these values, then some value will be negligible, and this weightage of this one will be will not be reflected in the output. That is why we will be normalizing for each and every data what you are having in your hand. You should normalize those things. So m is equal to x dot shape of 0. The x dot shape means that actually it will give you what is the row, the length of the row, size of the row and column, right? So here I want only size of the row. That's why 0. Actually in MATLAB there will not be index of 0, but in Python we have index 0. So x dot shape will give us some m comma n. M gives the row and n gives the column. So here I want only row. That's why here is 0. Then mean of x, I am finding mean of x. Then I am finding standard deviation of x. Now I am going for normalization process x new. That is the data which has been dropped out with the output variable. We have only input variable is input variables are available in the x array. Now I am normalizing my x array by x minus mean of x divided by standard deviation of x. There is nothing to be explained here. So I'll get my x underscore new. Now this x underscore new is with the concatenation of column with the ones of for manipulation purpose. I am adding some ones which will be concatenated with my actual array x underscore new, right? So the C, that is np dot c underscore np ones of m comma x underscore new means I am appending one column. C means one column with ones. Suppose if you put r underscore means one row will be appended, right? Again, y the output value y is in since it is in the data frame, I am going to convert it as an array again, right? So these are all the normalization procedure. If now it is ready for our machine learning process. Here I am having my original output, and here I am having my x is my original, sorry, x new is my input, processed input, normalized input, right? So here I am using the function. Actually, I should do in the for loop, but it took long time to run. So that's why I am using this function, train underscore test underscore split, which is available, right? Inbuilt function. So in this inbuilt function, it splits my set of data set into 75% of the data for training and 25% for the test, right? I hope what I am trying to tell, right? So I am training, I am doing some models, right? Using the 75% of the training set, I am going to find out the optimal value of theta naught and theta 1 in our previous example, which we have seen in our slide, right? So using the 75% of training set, I am going to find out what is my theta naught and theta 1. So what is the use of this remaining 25% of the set? This 25% of the set is used by knowing the output earlier, right? By knowing the output earlier, now I am going to test whether the variable which I have learned, which I have designed earlier using the 75% of the training set is correct or not, whether it is working or not. Suppose if it is not working, I have to use another algorithm for this one, right? So this is why I am splitting my data set into training set and test data. Please, 1 minute, please. Now, then we have 75%, that is we have in our now in our hand 75% of training data and 25% of test. So it is available in the array x train, x test, y train, and y test, right? So theta comma it is the output variable which is being obtained if I call logistic regression function by giving my input x train and y train, and this point theta, sorry, 0 1. Can anybody recall what is this point 0 1 which will be useful for our regression, logistic regression? Okay, I am not going to tell, but you can see, you can guess, and if I am going for this function, which we have written separately. Actually, I have told you earlier, we have written a separate library logis underscore reg. In this logis underscore reg, we have several functions. So I am calling logistic regression of x underscore train, y underscore train, 0.01. So here I get theta comma it. Then printing my F1 score. F1 score, I told you the formula. Then F1 score is find out by y train and y predict value is F1 score is another function. Here predict is another function, right? So from the logistic regression function, I'm going to find out what is my theta value. So using this theta value, I'm going for this predict function. So in the predict function only, I have to update my weight vector with the gradient descent. Then I am going to find out what is my F1 score. Then this is my train F1 score, and this is my test F1 score, right? Then I am finding my confusion matrix. Then let us go to the my next library, log underscore. Right. So here I am using NumPy as NP, pandas as PD. This import time because in order to see the there is running of this cost function, here we have put time here. Now first we have to define our sigmoid function, which is also already available, but anyhow we are using our formula. A is equal to 1 by 1 plus np dot e power minus z. We know that very well. So wherever if you are using any simple mathematical operations, you have to put NP here because you are using the NumPy library. Then cost function is defined here. The cost function gets the input of theta and x and y are variables. I hope you are all familiar about the function calling, right? So number of samples, variance is equal to x dot shape. This is nothing but here I am going to because there is this cost function receives the input variables x, y, and theta, but it doesn't know what is the size of this one. So here I'm finding the size of this x, number of samples, comma variance. Number of samples denotes the rows and variables denotes the column, right? Then x theta is calculated by x into theta, matrix multiplication of x comma theta, because we know that theta 1 x is necessary for us. Theta 1 x is necessary for us, so x comma theta is done here. Then cost function is equal to, you could record our cost function 1 by float of number of samples, that is 1 by m into summation of y into log of sigmoid theta z plus 1 minus log of 1 by 1 minus log of 1 minus y into log of 1 minus sigma. So similarly, we are defining our gradient because we have already derived what is the gradient value. Again 1 by m, the multiplication of this one x transpose. You could recall that x transpose into this. The sigmoid of x theta is nothing but your y cap, right? In our derivation, it was h theta of x, right? Sigmoid of h theta, x underscore theta minus y comma x, right? So this is our gradient function and cost function which we have derived in our PPT. Now after executing these two equations, then this function, cost function, will return cost value and gradient value. Okay, so then we are going for this predicting function. So in the predicting function, again this probability is equal to sigmoid of np into mat multipliers of x comma theta, theta x, right? So if that is here, I fix probability greater than or equal to 0.5 means I am deciding in favor of 1. If the probability values, that is the sigmoid, the output analysis function, logistic function value is less than 0.5 means I am deciding in favor of 0. So this is some threshold, right? So this is the way I am going to predict, right? Then next function is our gradient descent and training. So first we have find out what is the, we have found out what is our cost function, then our predictive threshold value, then logistic regression. In this logistic regression, we got input as x train, y train, and alpha is equal to 0.5, right? Here I fix alpha is equal to 0.5. So cost is equal to initially I am assuming my cost is equal to 0. First iteration starts with 0. Theta is equal to, I am assuming that initial weight vector, as I told you earlier in my PPT, theta initial value is assumed as 0. Then now I have to run the loop, right? The same gradient equation is applied here, right? So cost, here I am calling my cost function to get my cost and the gradient value. Then after getting this value, then this is applied here, and I am finding my updated theta value here. Theta minus alpha by train samples into x transpose of gradient. So this is my equation which we have derived in the gradient descent algorithm. Then the theta, updated theta value will be here. Then again the iteration is updated for second time. Now I am comparing my cost with the previous cost. So if my previous cost and present cost is less than or equal to, here I fix my threshold is 10 power minus 5, right? So if I fix this means that is I am expecting a minimum error. So still it reaches this value, the loop will be executed several times. Then next print cost. Then here there is this cost printing. This will be executing with a delay of 0.05. That is why here I have included here I included the time function. hope you recall, right? Import time. So here the sleeping time is 0.5. Where it is, 0.05 second. Then after this one, then again, this function return the theta and iteration to the main function. Next, positive, negative function is used to find out the confusion matrix and the F1 score, right? This positive negative function is nothing but I am going to find out what is true positive value, what is true negative, what is false positive, what is false negative. So true positive means sum of y prediction is equal to 1, but I am predicting it for 1 and y is equal, actual y is equal also 1. So it is true positive. Then I am deciding in favor of 0 and it is the actual output is also 0, it is true negative. Then if opposite happens means it is false positive and false negative. Then this function returns TP, FP, Fn and Tn, which will be used here for finding out the confusion matrix, because the confusion matrix formula contains true positive, that is true positive, false positive and false negative and true positive. Similarly, our F1 score formula also contains it, precision and recall. For precision, the formula is TP. Here I use the data type float here because if I don't use this float means automatically it will be rounded off to integer, so I can miss this value. So here I use float. Then the F1 score will return the F1 score value. Now let us run this program in the Anaconda prompt. You can execute this. You can run in this Jupyter prompt also. Now I am going to. Are you able to see my Anaconda prompt? No. Sorry. This is my Anaconda prompt. Are you able to see it? Ganesh Kumari?
Yes, ma'am. Visible, ma'am.
Python space Python space, my file name is reactor.py. Now I am entering this one and executing this. My laptop is a very old laptop, so it takes more time to say. I am actually since I fixed the error comparison is to say 10 power minus 5 instead of 10 power minus 5. If I put 10 power minus 3, it will converge in a very fast manner. So
Ma'am?
yes. Are you not able to see my screen?
Now screen is seen your screen.
Yeah. So you have seen these are all the cost function. So from the very large value to it is being reduced. After each and every step it has been reduced and it reaches this value. Then it has stopped here and my train F1 score is 0.94615386 something, and test F1 score is 0.933 something. My confusion matrix is this one, and I have another set because I didn't say this one, I think, right? I'll go to my slide. I mean, sorry, how to say my code. Now I think you are viewing my screen. Code. This is my main program. Right. So because I have stopped this one earlier, test to F1 score confusion matrix might have been calculated using my another library which have been written by us. And we have wherever necessary, we have called the particular cost function or gradient function or F1 score function, etc. Then that is from the line 44 to 57. I have skipped some. There is some space, but only these 2-3 lines will be, with 3 to 4 lines will be enough, right, to get the better result. Because here I am using inbuilt function which is available, right? That's why I have import sklearn library. So from sklearn dot linear underscore model import logistic regression as LR, and F1 score and confusion matrix is also an inbuilt function which is available in the sklearn. So if we call those functions which is available in our sklearn library, right, which is specifically which contains large number of machine learning algorithms, not only logistic regression, it contains many machine learning algorithms. So we can call these things, and you can by just calling these functions, and you can execute these codes, you will get the same result. What you suppose if your code is correct, what we have written till 40 and the logistic regression library, then that is, if I don't have any mistakes in my code, means almost the thing which is being executed by this set of code is equal to the code which we have written earlier, right? So let us compare these two things. Both are equal, so I can say that my code is equal. So the above code is not necessary, but the thing is which will be useful to you to understand the the theory as well as your coding concept. So if you want me to execute each and every code individually in the Jupyter, I am ready to share. Suppose otherwise you can try. I believe you all have Python in your hand along with Jupyter. So I'll share this one. I share this code to you. Right, that's why I asked you to install Acadly. Immediately I can share this code in the Acadly app. You can download and you can use this for your demonstration now. So otherwise I'll execute each and every line to you, which will also be easily understandable. My expectation is, suppose if you take any Cabal code for binary classification, right, and if you use this code, and you can get what is the confusion matrix output and what is the F1 score, right? Whichever way you want, I am ready. Participants, you please respond. We have, I think, 15 minutes, I think, 15 to 20 minutes, because by 3:50 you are having valedictory, right? Ganesh Kumari?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. 3:55. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have 20 minutes in our hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I explain each and every code in the Jupyter by line? Is it okay? I'll open my reactor code. Those who are having Anaconda, Jupyter, you can just for that I have to share this CSV file to you. Ganesh Kumari,
Yes, ma'am.
can I share this code in the WhatsApp to you?
Ma'am,
And yes, Excel file. Hello.
Ma'am, please once again tell me, ma'am.
Actually, I'll share this CSV file, that is the Excel sheet, and code to you, right?
Okay,
in
ma'am.
in the WhatsApp, right?
Okay,
Then,
ma'am.
but I don't have a
Please
number,
share.
I think.
Now sharing the group, ma'am.
You just yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Then you share this code to them. Then they
Okay,
will
ma'am.
execute, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You just ping me in the WhatsApp.
Wait. Okay, ma'am.
Can anybody tell me, please? How was the session actually? Can you get anything from me? Did you get anything from me? Madhu Jupyter opened. Madhu opened Jupyter Lab. Okay. Ganesh Kumari, send me some WhatsApp message to me.
I will send you, ma'am, please.
How many of you are good in Python? How many of you are familiar with Python libraries? You can put in the chat box. MATLAB. I think almost all of you are familiar with the MATLAB because it was very tough for us to unlearn MATLAB, right? For the for loop, because we have been using the MATLAB for the more than 20 years, C and the MATLAB, right? For us, in the processor, we are using C language, right? In DSP processor. So it was very tough for me to unlearn the MATLAB and what to say, C. So I think you will also face the same problem because it has several data types, right? Array, tuple, data structure, list. Right? There are different data types are there. So it is tough for us to handle. But anyhow, there are a lot of inbuilt functions. Those who really want to work in machine learning algorithm, it is a powerful tool because I have tried the same code what we have written in Python. I have tried the same code in the MATLAB first, but the convergence rate is not very good in MATLAB. That's why I started learning in, because my son told me that because instead of doing those things in MATLAB, you just learn and do in the Python. That's why I started learning Python. It is an interesting one. We can do our several. There is whatever things we can do with MATLAB, we can do in Python also, right? But MATLAB is costly. Python is free. But still, I have to explore several things in MATLAB. Sorry, Python. Wait a minute, I'll share. Ganesh Kumari, actually, the Python file I could not send it. I can't open it in my mobile. I could not send it to you. But I shared my
document, ma'am.
that is my data file. You just share the data file in the group, right?
In Currency Atal MDP group or in present here, ma'am?
Atal group. Where will you share? You have to share in the Atal group.
Atal FDP group.
Okay. Yeah. In that group, you share this Excel file.
Okay,
right? Let them download in the laptop. Then I'll show my code. Then they will write and execute this step by step.
Okay, I will forward your document, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Participants, please respond me. Have you got your Excel file?
I will forward the document Excel file, ma'am. Please, participant, check it.
Yeah. You please download in your laptop. Suppose it is in XLX form, then you have to change some modification in your code, because this code I have received as a CSV file. So I used read underscore CSV. But as suppose if you are having it in Excel form, means You have to write pd.excel file and then file name. So tell me whether in which form you have received your file. Okay, I got response from one participant that you got your Excel file in the form of Excel. So you have to, are you viewing my slide?
No,
So-
ma'am. No, ma'am.
No. Okay. So here I made one comment here. So first, open the Jupyter. It will be like this. You will get like this, right? Now I think you are able to view my screen in the Jupyter. It will be opening in Chrome or any one browser. Then you will have some set of Jupyter is a very useful methodology. In that we can execute each and every line separately. It will be very much useful for you to study. Okay. So in your Jupyter page, in each and every cell, you can write the first three things. You can write these first things: import pandas as PD. Leave the comments. Import pandas as PD. Then import numpy as numpy. If you are able to read a single file, means I'll be happy. So import pandas as PD, import numpy as numpy from sklearn. You can leave this one, right? Because now I'm not going to use this library which contains ML algorithm, and this function which will be necessary for us from logis underscore reg import star. Then now you have to read from the Excel file because it is not in the CSV format. Otherwise, you can save your Excel file because if you want to use assets, means you can save your Excel file in CSV format. Save as .csv. If you put like this, then it will be converted into CSV file. Then you can use the same command which I am using here. Normally, while executing or while learning through Jupyter means first you have to run the that is library files first cell. It is a best practice. So I have run it. So automatically it has been executed inside it. Now I am going to retrieve my data file. I am going to read my data file now. So which is nothing but suppose if you have saved in .csv file means this command will be useful. Sorry. Data is equal to pd dot so pd dot read underscore csv. The file name is pressurized underscore water underscore reactor. Now I am executing it. So obviously it is in the data frame. Now you can view this data. So the other things are not visible because he has stored. So this is the thing which is available in our Excel sheet, right? So it has been read and it is put in the data frame data, right? The next step is, I told you that in the X variable, X data frame, I'm going to drop my axis, what to say, status column. So here I am pasting here and I'm executing this one. And now I have one data frame X. Let us see what is in X. So the first data column has been disappeared here, right? First data column is status column. Status column has been disappeared and I have only other columns in my X data frame. Then next, I'm going to categorize it. I'll execute both these things simultaneously. Otherwise, I can show you individually also because I think they have very less time. Now we are viewing it as the same, but the thing is here it has been converted into a data type of category. So that's why I told I could execute both these things in a single cell. Now I am going to convert my this thing into values. So normal 1, abnormal 0, normal 1, abnormal 0. So I have converted my data frame into values, right? So this is the way you could execute each and every step and you can learn by yourself, right? It is not a tough problem. The thing is, we have to do some hands-on work by ourselves. There are a lot of websites are here to learn about each and every functions which is available in the Python code. Can I continue, Ganesh Kumari?
Please, ma'am, 1 or 2 minutes, please continue, ma'am.
Okay. If anything important, if you have any doubts, please ask me. I'll show the particular part of the code to you. Because I am feeling monotonous because since I am not getting any response from you people. I feel like taking online classes for us, for our students, right? Sorry to say. So as I told, this thing m is equal to x dot shape. Shape gives me size. So I told it's really 500 and something, right? 548. If you see this one, this result file, I think you will not be able to see this one. Okay, I'll show you one thing. So this is 548 means I have 548 rows, right? Then here I can show, I'll execute these things simultaneously. So this is the inbuilt function which divides my data set into training data set and test data set. So X train, X test, Y train, Y test. So how much this particular function, how much percentage of my data set is considered as X train and how much is considered as Y train? Then how could I find out? Any guess? So the 411 rows and 13 columns. Actually, we are having 13 columns. 411 rows have been taken out of 588 samples. 548 examples. 411 examples have been taken for training. Then remaining have been taken for test. Let us check that also. So the remaining 137 examples are considered for testing. So after testing, we are having test data and train data. Then we can apply our train data into the logistic regression function. In the logistic regression function, we have we can directly go to the logistic regression function. Yes. This is the logistic regression function. So in the logistic regression function here, I put 0.01, but actually I have taken 0.5 for my alpha value. That's why I asked there, right? In my equation, I put one learning factor 0.1, but if I put 0.01, it will take some bit late much time. That's why I put 0.5 here. So this is my learning factor. Similarly, the previous day I put 10 power minus 5, right? It took long time. But if I put 10 power minus 3, you let I save it and I'll execute it for yourself. Control yes. Again, I put this one as 0.05, 0.5, sorry, 0.5. And now I am running this one. See, while previous execution, now you will be viewing my Anaconda prompt, right? In my previous execution, you have seen this, and that is the cost function have been reduced. This time. This is the execution time was very long. But in this one, since I have reduced my alpha factor, increased my alpha factor into 0.5, and also my my error, the threshold is 10 power minus 3 instead of 10 power minus 5. So it converges in a very quick manner, and I will get my train F1 score and confusion matrix in a quick way, right? So this is the way we can execute. If you have good processor and if you have a 64-bit processor, then it will be executing in a quick manner. Okay, thank you for the opportunity, Nyanambal.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the excellent delivery, ma'am. And due to shortage of time, I couldn't elaborate my thanks.
No.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I could not, that is, I want to show each and every step to them, but I have no time to complete it. But anyhow, I think I have conveyed what I know. Thank you, Nyanambal.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, for the valedictory function, I welcome all the participants and I welcome our beloved principal and our department HOD and our co-coordinators welcome you all for the valedictory session. I request Vimala Reddy ma'am to proceed. Vimala ma'am.
Ma'am? Yes, ma'am. I'm audible, ma'am? Madam?
Yes ma'am, proceed ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes ma'am, proceed.
Okay, ma'am. Very good evening to another gather here. Education at any level is to develop the personality of individual and the significance of his life to himself and to others also. Hope this FTP and the knowledge sharing of resource persons from various fields has reached everyone gathered here in the right way. Now I request our head of the department, Dr. S.F. Kannan sir, to deliver welcome address. Please, sir.
Good evening to all. On behalf of KLN College of Engineering, I welcome you all for this valedictory function. I welcome our beloved principal, Dr. A.V. Ramprasad, who is supporting this program. Many of this program for the betterment of the teaching community. I want to say that we have conducted a similar program for the benefit of teaching community for the past 5 years with the aids from the Government of India, AICTE. This is one among the aid we are getting. I thankful to our beloved principal for continuously supporting the department as well as organizing various events in our college and for the state and national level. I welcome you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next, I welcome the coordinator, Dr. Jnanambal, who conducted this event very successfully. She had earlier conducted a similar activity. She is a Margadarshan also. She visited various colleges. She has published a lot of research work in this field in national and international journals, and she is a recognized supervisor. So I think he has shared his experience in the last 5 days for the benefit of the teaching community. On behalf of the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, I welcome Dr. G. Jnanambal. Welcome, madam. Okay. Next,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Next, I welcome all the participants from various engineering colleges who attend this program for the last 5 days. You might have earned a certain level of competency in this field. Hope you will be getting more insight into this kind of particular field like machine learning, which is the state of the art of the subject in near future. So we have to learn a lot of things in this machine learning. For your information, most of the colleges are converting in these electrical and electronics branches into electrical and computer engineering, so that electrical and computer engineering requires the competency in the computer as well as the latest trends in the engineering, particularly computer knowledge, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, etc. So this program will have some insight. We have a very well experienced professor in our college. They shared their experience. I expected you will also learn, and further you can motivate our students community. I welcome you all. Thank you. Jnanambal, please continue.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our beloved principal, Dr. A.V. Ramprasad, sir, to deliver valedictory address. Please, sir.
Yes, madam. Good afternoon to all present here. Respected head of the department, Dr. S.M. Kannan. Respected coordinator, Dr. Jnanambal. Today's afternoon speaker, Dr. Gajalakshmi, head of the department ECE. And my dear participants from other institutes and dear fellow friends, good afternoon to all present here. I'm very much honored and I'm very much happy now to share the feelings of this program. To be honest, I should thank AICTE for having recognized KLN College of Engineering as one of the trusted institute according to them. Because this year itself, we have got funding for many programs towards the quality improvement to the faculty members. Like we have got funding for FDP to be conducted, we have got funding for STTP to be conducted, and of course this ATAL program. AICTE teaching and learning system. This clearly shows how this AICTE is trusting the faculty members of our institution and also the management that this fund had been given to this institute, which can be utilized in a proper way. The vision of the AICTE in conducting such program is that the entire teaching fraternity should get benefited. The entire teaching fraternity should get benefited from such programs. So they have categorized in the latest way as a Atal program. I think this is the first time that they have given this clear name as Atal program, and nearly 100 institutes, I think, if I am correct, 100 institutes have been identified across the country, and they have given some funding to them and to conduct through online mode. Though it is a pandemic situation, though we are not able to meet in a physical manner, but ultimately the things are going in a smoother way. This is what we should challenge to the society. We should challenge to the situation. So as a part of it, KLN College of Engineering, faculty members, I hope I have long trust on them, particularly the Department of Electrical Electronics, where the head of the department and his team is a strongly dedicated team towards teaching. Even they won't leave us with any benefit of escapism or any benefit of not having in a proper way. I think their punctuality, their dedication had yielded them such a good result. As said by the head of the department, that recently many colleges, they're converting this electrical department towards technological manner. And we are also having such a good plan in order to ensure that the technology of electrical as well as the technology of recent computer science should get up mixed, and finally it has to reach the common man. So I think the participants, you could have got good feast in this entire week towards the area of electrical side. And I hope in coming days also we are having a lot of programs to be conducted by our department. And of course, the electrical department, subsequently, they are going to conduct a faculty development program sponsored by AICTE in the coming months. And other departments like IT department, MCA department, also they are going to conduct the STTP, short-term staff development technical program, short-term technical program to all the staff members. So I think the entire year, this coming 3 months, KLN College of Engineering, apart from teaching to the students, they are also building the nation in equipping the faculty member. The quality of the faculty member can be highly improved in conducting such programs. So not only these funding programs we are conducting, we are also conducting many such other programs sponsored by our management. So the ultimate vision of the management is a teacher should be equipped with 100% or more than 100%. Then only they can deliver at least 100% to the students. So this is what the vision of our management, where of course all the faculty members, they have the same vision. We should learn more than 100% to dedicatedly give back to the students at least 100%. So I think these kind of programs we should all in future should attend. Of course, the participants are getting limited, and I hope the department in future days should also conduct such program. And I hope the experts we have identified in a clear way to ensure that the audience should get 100% of the information. So the coordinator should be congratulated for having put a lot of efforts in fixing the experts. It is not easy that an expert can be easily obtained. It is only through the contact. It is only through the way we have already having good contact with the experts only we can invite them. So I hope Dr. Nyanambal, the coordinator of this program, I hope she is an experienced faculty member in this electrical area, and she has got a vast experience and good contacts in the high level professor in other institutes. And she has also got some good funding for DST research programs. So I hope an ideal coordinator had conducted an ideal program to the good participants. So this is what I can simply state in this valedictory function. And of course, dear participants, don't think this is the end. Always in valedictory address, I used to say, this is the beginning. This is not a point to validate or validate ourselves. It is the point to validate ourselves and to deliver it to all the fellow fraternities. So I think today what you have learned, you should deliver at your campus, at your place, to all the faculty members and to all the students of your campus. That alone is a good sign for every one of us to grow. The vision of AICTE also, it is very clear that whatever we learn, once I attended the Honorable Chairman of AICTE, Dr. Shastra Bhute, he was addressing the crowd of the principal and he was telling whatever program the AICT conducts, it should be ensured that all the participants who are getting benefited should multiply the benefit or should immediately conduct such programs at their campus. So I hope the participants who are here, who have observed, who have noticed the way we conducted, please go and conduct at your campus. Either if it is not possible through offline, can conduct through online. And I hope this number should get multiplied. If it is 50 to 60 participants today, and every participant can again conduct such program with another 50, ultimately it goes to 2,000, 2,500, like that, 5,000 and 7,000 into 2 times or 3 times. So this is what the vision of AICTE, and I would highly request the participants that do not stop here. This is the beginning. Kindly take this to forward arena, to the forward place where you can get more benefited yourself, as well as to the audience, as well as to the students, and as well as to your fellow friends. So with these few words, I am very much privileged again to stay with you, to be online with you for this valedictory function. And I bless every one of you who are here to get a good future and to get a good prosperous in your life of the teaching career. And if you are in the industry, please go ahead with doing some good innovations and come back to the society and give back to the society and ultimate solutions to the problems. Thank you so much and all the best, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Now I
ma'am.
request coordinator of this Atal FTP, also hard worker and dedicated, Dr. K. Nyanapal ma'am, is to propose vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
So before that, I humbly request few of the participants to give your valuable feedback. Participants, you know how to give your feedback in the Atal portal. Anyway, to rectify our problems or to rectify our issues, your feedback will be helpful to us. So kindly give your feedback. Any participant who may unmute your mic, please give your suggestions so that we can improve in future to conduct these types of programs. Any participant, please? You can unmute your mic and give your feedback, please.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear me?
It's a good evening, sir. Please proceed, sir.
Ma'am, my hand is John De Cruz, ma'am. I am a full-time PhD scholar, ma'am. Actually, I've not done anything regarding machine learning and Python, so I just want to learn about it. So it was a very informative session, ma'am. I installed Python, I tried working on it. So once I work more, I'll be able to understand more about it, ma'am. It was very useful, ma'am. The entire program was well organized, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Any other participant? Thank you for your feedback, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Please proceed, sir.
Ma'am, my name is Devraj. I'm working in Panimala Engineering College. I'm doing my part-time PhD. Actually, I'm doing my PhD in power system side. I need to know how to implement the machine learning. So that for that purpose only I joined this course, so that I'm getting some idea regarding how to write the program or to implement in the MATLAB. It is very useful for me, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other?
Hello, good evening, ma'am. This is Venkatramanan.
Yes, sir. Proceed, sir.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, this workshop is very useful because we are more or less learning with Python nowadays, and this hands-on experience gives some more clear ideas about Python. And even before that, a lot of ideas in the entire workshop is very useful for doing further research also, ma'am. You can arrange these sort of workshops, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
I thank all the participants for your valuable feedback. You may give your feedback through your mail or through the WhatsApp. So thank you, participants. Now the time for vote of thanks. So on behalf of our college, I wholeheartedly thank Atal Academy for sponsoring this program. I should thank Atal Director Dr. Soni sir, who directed us to conduct this program in a successful manner. I had a very, whenever I had doubt, whenever I had contacted him, he cleared my doubt then and there so that I could forward my this FDP in a successful manner. So I have to thank him. So next I have to thank our management for supporting us. My sincere thanks to our beloved principal who always supported us and motivated us to conduct these types of programs. And he is always with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I thank our HOD, Dr. S.M. Kannan, sir, who is the backbone of our department. He is always rendered full support to conduct this program in a successful manner. Thank you, sir. And I have to thank my coordinators, Dr. Vimala Ranima, then Ganesh Kumari ma'am, and Manoj sir, who have organized, who have helped me to conduct the program in a successful manner. Thank you all. Finally, I have to thank all the participants who are all with us for the 5 days and who have listened a lot, and they never created even a single disturbance during the online workshop. Usually when the workshops or FDPs are conducted, there are a lot of difficulties usually faced, but here in this workshop, in this FDP, no such problem has been arised. So I have to thank all the participants, and nearly all the participants are attending the workshop. That is throughout all these 5 days. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Anandal. Thank you.